When we were researching budget bondage gear at a listener's request, we stumbled onto ExtremeRestraints.com and found the most impressive bondage gear site on the internet. And we don't say that lightly.
We bought a bunch of toys to try them out, and we're so impressed with the selection, quality, and service that we reached out to them about sponsoring the show.
From basic whips to top-notch floggers, from beginner cuffs to shackles and cages, from nipple clamps to fucking machines, from budget to bad fucking ass. ExtremeRestraints.com has put together an immense catalog of kinky gear that we honestly believe is second to none on the internet.
And not only do they offer a free gift and 99-cent toys for new customers, plain brown wrapper shipping, and free shipping on orders over $119, they'll give you 10% off if you enter the promo code ESDA at checkout.
And that's not 10% off on your first order. It's 10% off every order, forever, as long as you enter the code. Because they're awesome and they support this show. You can listen to episode 70 for more details, or just check out ExtremeRestraints.com, use the promo code ESDA, and get your kink on. For over 1,000 years, Western civilization has been stuck in a dark age of sexual repression and misinformation. We get an oversexed overload from the media, but nothing in the way of honest, helpful, practical information on sex and how to do it right. That sucks, and I'm fucking sick of it. My name's JV Altheras, and I've spent a couple decades learning everything I can about how to have amazing sex and more of it. Not in a classroom like a lot of people who talk about sex. I learned it all in the gutter, right where Mom told me I'd end up. It's my mission to bring an end to the sexual dark age with brutally honest talk and education on all aspects of sex and sexuality, in an atmosphere that will keep you entertained without treating you like an idiot. Shara and I are not doctors. Certifiable, perhaps, but not certified in any way. And that means we don't have to talk about vaginas and penises to maintain academic credibility. You got a problem with a vagina? Call a gynecologist. You want to learn more about pussies and cocks and how to make them happy? You've come to the right place. Greetings and welcome to episode 87 of Ending the Sexual Dark Age.
Greetings.
Thank you, Shara. You're a little slow on the uptake this evening.
I was waiting for Cooper to chime in.
No, I wait to be introduced. It's unprofessional.
Yeah,
oh,
just
you're
jump
so
in.
good. You are so good.
You're supposed to know that, Shara.
I
Come
do
on.
know
Unprofessional.
Yeah, so with us this evening we have Cooper S Beckett, who is
Hello.
a good friend of ours, fellow naked partier from Cancun, Grand Poobah naked partier from Cancun. Actually, if the truth is to be told,
I do enjoy the Grand Poobah title.
And author of Swinging both nonfiction and fiction, and he is here today to talk about his new book, Approaching the Swingularity. Take it away, Coop.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Yeah, it came out today when we're recording this. So today I've had a rushing around. You know, it never gets any easier because I keep doing new things. So, you know, you learn stuff from the last book, but then you have to go and add like 16 new things to try this year. So, but it's exciting and it's out, and that makes me very happy.
Yay, so happy for you. You work hard, too, to get that all taken care of, and everyone loves reading your books.
Oh, well, it's gotten a lot of very positive feedback, and it makes me very happy because it's like podcasting, you know, and JV, you're a writer, you know this. It's you spend most of the time thinking, man, I don't even know if this is any good anymore.
Oh, absolutely. Why am I wasting my time on this?
Like last week, I had those crises of confidence where I would ask people, it's like, okay, you tell me if this wasn't good, right? Like, we're honest with each other. You would actually say, maybe you want to give it another draft or two. It's good, right?
Well, I know one person who would definitely stand up and do that right from the get-go, and I know that you have entrusted her with probably reading it first before anybody else.
Oh, yes. Ginger?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she would be honest with me. I
definitely.
feel like, yeah.
And Ophelia, too.
Yeah,
you know.
she'd be honest with me.
But she's usually probably sitting in bed next to you most of the time going, and don't forget this, and don't forget that. And don't forget the double dildo story. No, just kidding.
Yeah, we have to have double dildos.
And don't forget those rainbow socks. Those were Shara's first introduction to you. That
Oh,
and
yes.
the bare ass.
And the feather boa.
Nothing like a host in rainbow thigh highs, feather boa, top hat, and naked everywhere else.
And have that
Well,
ass
and-
right in my face. It was great.
And the more we learn to know and love desire, the more that introduction was appropriate.
Yes, it's true.
That holds up.
It's true. Very true. Very true.
So, Cooper, this is actually your second novel, correct?
Yes, it is. The first one was A Lifeless Monogamist that told a small story about a young couple unsatisfied with life, accidentally stumbling into swinging. And I wanted to expand the story beyond that. It really, as soon as I was working on that, I started having all these other things I wanted to tackle. Like I wanted to have BDSM scene in it, and it just didn't feel like it would fit in the first book. I wanted to have discussions of male bisexuality and how gay people swing and all, but it just didn't feel right in this small little story. And so I kept making notes and planning and making notes and planning, and then it came time to figure out what to do with those notes. And I initially thought, well, why don't I tell like an anthology story? You know, we have different stories with different characters, and maybe they'll all intersect somewhere. And I thought about having it just be this massive swinger party where all the characters are invitees to this party. So every story would eventually lead here. And as I was working on that, it just didn't seem big enough. And we go to this place called Desire every year. And this place is amazing. And I always talk about how it's not like anywhere else and how it's so intense but so amazing. And so I wanted to write a love letter to that place. And my resort, it's called Aphrodite's Resort and Spa because it is similar but legally distinct from Desire Resort and Spa.
But of course.
But it's really about a place as well as these people and how some place like Desire is so heightened from reality that the intensity of it is dialed way up, and you can experience things there because of that heightened intensity that you may never experience anywhere else. And so my story takes place over a week at this resort, following 7 point of view characters now because I'm crazy. And we get to see what they are like at the resort. We get to see what they're like before the resort. And we get to deal with the fact that I thought you two would appreciate this because I know you were spending a lot of time on the resort thinking about stuff at home because you have business and you can't leave stuff at home always, whether you want to or not.
You can try.
And yeah, you can try real hard, but sometimes that even causes it to be more in your face.
Yep, there has to be a home to come home to.
Yeah. So what I really hit on early is that how these things that we have going on at home in our lives just come with us and interrupt us at inopportune times and maybe are on our mind while we're having sex, while we're in this amazing place. And how interesting that is to dive in and out of a sex scene with stuff that's come up, emotional stuff. And you can only really do that with point of view stuff, point of view chapters.
I can't wait to read it.
Well, I look forward to hearing what you think.
It sounds really good. Will I recognize any of the characters?
I think you'll recognize most of the characters.
I know who they are.
No, to be clear, the characters are inspired by people.
Of course.
They're not based on people. I mean, it is worth mentioning that. Like the lesbian couple, which is a new addition for this book, are inspired by the Sapphic Swingers, who are friends of the Swingset, who've been on our show. And the lesbian couple in my book are nothing like them, but their enthusiasm for life and for the non-monogamy really spoke to these characters for me. And it's cool to be able to distill down different people that I've encountered over the years and make them someone really unique in this story.
I can't wait. Must have been fun writing it.
Yeah. Oh, it was. I mean, it was a lot of unexpected work.
Yes.
You know, I really bit off a lot more than I thought at first.
A novel can be a trudge, as I well know. I mean,
and you put so much of yourself in it too.
Yeah.
And really, you know, when I wrote the first one, I really put most of me into the lead character because it was definitely inspired by my exploration into non-monogamy. And as I was writing this one, I realized that every single conflict in the story almost comes from conflict I have. So I fragmented myself across this story and then put them all through hell because I do that. And so to do that with characters that are somewhat avatars can be rough because you realize how you would react to situations, and maybe it's not always the best way, and maybe you feel things about that.
Sure. Shara's looking like she's about to say something, and I'm trying not to step on her. Now we're just staring at each other silently.
I am so
to the
tempted. I am so tempted to say so many things. Cooper, conflict. Can you imagine?
Can you imagine?
Never.
When so Ginger and I do a yearly discussion whenever I release a book, and it's a cool tradition, and it was very exciting for her to come back for that. And we talked about, probably for the first time, how informed by her the character of Paige is in this story. And I really run Paige through the ringer in this book because Ryan and Jennifer have major conflict in the first book, like almost relationship wrecking conflict. And I didn't want to put them through that again because I felt like we'd done that. And so I wanted to give them more internal conflict within themselves, not within their relationship, and make them hey, we've got this, you know, we're together on this, people. And because Bruce and Paige were such aspirational characters in the first book, because most of the time we only see them from the point of view of Ryan and Jennifer, I wanted to see what their relationship looks like for real, not just this version of them that everybody else thinks they are. You know, because we often look up to people we perceive as being expert at non-monogamy or expert at relationships or expert at anything and think, well, they probably never fuck up the way I fuck up.
Right.
So immediately I wanted to see them fuck up. And I wanted to see them both make bad decisions and see the fallout that comes from that, because it's very important to not, you know, pretend this is a cakewalk, because it's not.
Never is.
Never.
Never is.
And I did tell Ginger, I want to be careful not to say ask, because I didn't ask for permission. I told her specifically, I'm doing this. I hope you won't be mad at me.
Well, the opportunity to object is in and of itself a sort of a request for permission.
Yeah. And I wanted to give her a moment to tell me whether or not she felt that the reaction I was building was genuine.
Okay.
Because that's very important to me, you know, and I have a lot of characters in this book that come from a place that I don't have experience with. You know, I have never been a lesbian couple, so I don't have experience with that. I mean, I know how people work, and I know how relationships work, but there's a dynamic that's different. And so I was very interested in getting feedback from lesbian friends. It's like, okay, did I come close? If not, what should I do differently? You know, and I have a trans character on the trip, and I made very careful to talk to trans friends. It's like, okay, how does this work? How would you react here? what is your experience with this? And thankfully, I have a lot of friends who are more than willing to put up with my often offensive questions about how, nitty gritty about how they work.
You're always very polite, so.
Well, that's good. No, authenticity is important. And I as a writer, have also always been very concerned with representing points of view that I am privileged out of.
Yeah.
In an accurate way.
Yeah.
And in a way that reflects reality and that reflects compassion and reflects appropriately. And it's difficult. Sometimes sometimes there's nothing to do but, throw a manuscript in front of somebody and ask them if you've offended them.
Yeah, exactly. And that was stage one. Did I offend you? Yes, no. Okay, if not, did I irritate you? And not just story-wise. Did I irritate you by saying this or by using this? And Dirty Lola was instrumental in my cover development because the cover is this awesome cartoon by an artist named Corbett Vanoni who did the art for the first book. And the initial sketch was very white hetero.
Okay.
Which, is to be expected because I didn't give direction on that. And so then we went through several iterations of it, and it's like, okay, can we have a little bit more color? Can we have a little less hetero? Can we put a gay couple over there? Can we make a few people not be slim and trim? Can we make that guy less muscular? Can we, and Dirty Lola would look at it every step of the way and say, you know what? This feels inclusive to me. Before it didn't, now it does.
Nice.
And
Job well done.
I'm very well aware that I am a cisgendered male who, while I can understand a lot of things, don't have the perspective of a lot of things. And I think it's essential to me that this book does not sound like, for every character, a cisgendered male.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, especially that's the danger of doing point of view. I could have easily made it a first-person narrative and made it entirely from this one guy's point of view.
Right. Then
but who wants to read that?
Then you're writing a book about every character Matthew McConaughey's ever played.
All right.
All right. Well done. Well done.
So, Cooper, will you favor us with a reading from the book?
Oh, yes. Let me grab something. I have a specific one, I think.
When you say grab something.
Let me grab something.
You knew that was coming, right?
Of course. You can't leave that hanging.
Okay. Would you like a funny one?
Yeah.
There's a funny one I got.
I think a funny one
will
would be good.
Enjoyable. All right, give me one moment to pull it up here. Okay, it's 35. And apparently my phone notifications are on. I'm going to turn those off.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Okay, this one's fun because it is both funny and sexy.
Oh.
Right on.
Half and half. I split it. Right. It is a page point of view chapter, so right off the bat, I'm going to apologize for performing a character, a female character.
All right.
The scream causes everyone at the table to turn toward the waterline. Paige stands, feeling the pumping adrenaline, those years as a lifeguard at Birchwood Pool flooding back. She sees the pixie with red hair pulling a man up onto the stand. The podcasters, she tells the rest of the table. A party captain in a white polo rushes to the couple on the beach. Fucking jellyfish! Screams the man on his back in the sand. Strom, says Paige. Good, she thinks. Jellyfish stings, while painful, aren't dangerous, and that guy is kind of obnoxious. I got stung by a jellyfish what was it, Angel? Second year here? Bruce doesn't look up from the plate he's turned back to. Paige nods absently, continuing to watch. A small crowd has gathered around the podcasters. The man in the polo rushes back behind the grill into the resort's backstage area. "Oh, good," she says, seeing Will jogging across the sand in his best Hasselhoff impression. 20 yards from the small cluster, he yanks down on the waistband of his board shorts. In a fluid motion that Paige begrudgingly finds impressive, he leaps from the shorts as they slide down his legs. "Hurts, though?" asks Ryan. "Oh my God," screams Strom in the sand. Bruce nods. "Hurts like fuck. They keep a whole jellyfish kit on hand to treat it. Ammonia, something to dull the pain. It's nothing compared to their strep throat kit, though." He laughs. "That even includes..." Will wraps his hand around his bouncing, flaccid penis as he makes it to the group. "Let me through," he shouts, with the practiced confidence of someone used to getting what he wants. "Oh no," Paige says, and laughs despite herself. Her companions stand to watch. Is he... The small cluster of people part for the man aiming his penis in their direction. "Wait, no!" screams Strom. "Senor!" yells the staff member in the polo shirt, already jogging back, a cleaning caddy with a bottle of ammonia in his hand. Jen claps her hands to her mouth. From their vantage point, just yards away at the edge of the lunch grill patio, they watch it happen in slow motion. Urine spills forth from Will, first wildly because he is still running. The droplets glint in the sunlight, and the cluster of people around the podcasters spread way out. "He's getting something!" screams Strom, raising his hands to his face, another scream of pain combined with one of horror. The impressive fountain arcing from Will causes much of the patio to go silent. "Jesus!" shouts Kitten, shoving herself back from her boyfriend, naked and in pain on the sand. The stream hits Strom squarely in the chest, splashing everywhere. He shields his face and yells, "It's my leg, you fuckhead!" "You know, urine is not actually all that helpful against jellyfish stings," Bruce says. Everyone continues to stare, mesmerized. Paige nods. "Ammonia concentration is too low." Will has finally come to a halt, and he redirects his cock downward to Strom's legs. The stream holds for what seems like an eternity. "You pissed in my mouth!" yells Strom, hacking and coughing in the face of this unsolicited golden shower. "No, senor!" The staff member puts his hands on Will's chest and shows him the kit. "I've got this," said Will. "No, asshole, let him do it," yells Strom. Fuck, it hurts." He takes a deep breath and unleashes his fury at Will. "You're not helping!" Will's pee finally ebbs until it is just dribbles in the sand. The crowd has grown but keeps their distance. Those at the epicenter stare at each other. "I just..." says Will, looking between Strom, Kitten, the party captain with the jellyfish sting kit, Strom, Kitten, Strom's face, Strom's leg. He slinks away. The party captain kneels down beside Strom, taking a towel from his shoulder to dry off the urine. The crowd begins to disperse as excitement subsides, and Paige sits back down at their lunch table. "Well," she says to Bruce and the Lamberts, "where were we?" "Dessert," says Ryan. "Then sex, I think." Paige agrees, and dessert is ordered. So now the chapter splits here, and the other half is sex. I can continue, or we can leave it there.
Well, it's up to you.
Well, I'll go on.
Sure, go on.
Yes.
Later in their suite, she unbuttons Ryan's shirt and slides it off his shoulders. She alternates kissing and nibbling, beginning at his neck before moving to his shoulder, down his bicep, and back up, catching the scent of him as she passes from his armpit to his chest. She takes his nipple in her mouth and feels his cock grow hard against her knee. She makes a mental note of this new information and moves along to his other nipple. On the other side of the bed, she sees Jen lying face down as Bruce rubs coconut oil into his amazing hands. He starts out in small circles on her shoulders and back, spiraling out. Paige is pulled back to Ryan when his hand slides up the nape of her neck into her hair. She feels the firm tug as his hand makes purchase. She leans her head back and exhales warm breath over his left nipple. She looks up at him. He looks down at her. "What would you like?" he asks her, putting his hand on her cheek. She nuzzles against the hand for a moment and tells him, "I want you inside me." She encircles his growing erection with her hand, noting the softness of the skin on his shaft, the dramatic texture and color shift at the coronal ridge. She presses against his urethra with her thumb, and he shivers. "That sounds great," he says. Without looking, Paige reaches into a pile of condoms haphazardly strewn across the step that surrounds the king-size bed. She tears open the package with her mouth, holding eye contact with him, this lovely boy who'd once been so scared of her. That wasn't fair, though. He'd been afraid of life. And that night, in the laundry room at Barbara Watkins' Christmas party, Paige Shepard had represented a life he wasn't living. She pops the condom between her lips and teeth with a wink and drops her head down. She pinches the tip with her tongue and slides it onto his cock, feeling him moving deeper and deeper into her mouth. A little further, and a quick gag produces the very best saliva. When she removes her mouth, he's dripping and clad in what she's amused to note is an opaque black condom. "Huh," says Ryan. "You like?" she asks. "What you did?" "Yes," he tells her, eyes focused on his erection. He bounces it twice for good measure. "It looks like a dildo." "It does," she laughs. "A big, black dildo." On his face, she sees the word big has had its intended effect, so she leans back and spreads her legs in his direction. "Come get me." As Ryan kneels between her legs, Paige turns to look at Jen. Bruce has moved down to massage the small of her back and her ass, and she glistens from the coconut oil. Paige leans over and plants a kiss on Jen's ass cheek. A giggle from her girlfriend lets her know the gesture was appreciated. She hears a squirt of lube, then feels Ryan's cock pressing against her. He rubs his head over her clit, sending tingles up and down her spine. She turns her head back to meet the intensity of his gaze. He slides the full length of his cock up and down. Her lips spread as he slides, and she feels the first wave beginning to draw up within her. Without a word, he repositions himself. Her lips part, and she takes him effortlessly. She feels him moving within her as he leans over to kiss between her breasts. She grabs the back of his head and pulls him to her nipples, which he greedily sucks. She nibbles her lip as a wave of pleasure shudders through her and then grips him on the inside. "Oh," he says, his eyes wide. She grins up at him and nods. His thrusting slows, and she feels every bit of him slide through her internal grip. She releases the hold and her breath. "That's new," he says. "Something I've been working on," she says, grabbing him again. "I'm not going to last long," he pants, "if you keep doing that." She shakes her head at him. "Come whenever you feel it, love." She squeezes as hard as she can and feels the orgasm pulse down the length of his shaft, exploding into the condom. She wraps her arms around him as he collapses atop her, his chest heaving. She whispers in his ear, "Thank you, baby." "Thank you." Haltingly, he moves back to his kneeling position and reaches down to pull himself out. "I think you're trying to keep the condom," he whispers to her. "Oh," laughs Paige. She lets go, feeling the condom pop out of her body, and the release sends a profoundly unique and pleasurable shudder through her body. Ryan slides to her right, drops the condom in his trash, and lies on his side next to her. Paige puts her hands on her stomach to feel the pulsing spasm. "Well," she says, "that was something." Ryan concurs, still wide-eyed. She kisses him, then turns opposite to look down Jen's body toward her head. Bruce is kneeling on either side of her thighs, inside her, as he continues massaging her back. Her moans of pleasure alternate two distinctly different pitches. Listening to her is lovely. Paige kisses the instep of her foot as she comes.
I think we're going to have to cut this short and take off to the bedroom.
Woo!
That was good.
See, I save a chapter which first half is about unintentional and unsolicited golden showers.
That was very good.
Yes, very well done, sir.
Thank
Yes.
you.
So you, I assume, are doing an audiobook as well?
That's the plan. So I made a foolish decision that turned out awesome for my last book, which was to have Kat Stark from On the Wet Coast co-narrate the book with me.
Okay.
And that foolish decision has led to another foolish decision of there are 7 characters in this book. Why not have 7 actors narrate the book?
You,
Excellent.
sir, are a glutton for punishment.
I don't know what I'm thinking, honestly.
I think
But
excelente.
I'm really excited to try to do that. That's
Cool.
my goal. If that doesn't happen, it'll probably be Kat reading the female parts and me reading the male parts again.
Right on. Well, cool. I'm glad you're doing that. The market appreciates the increased production value.
Indeed. I agree.
Actually, the market appreciates production value.
Any production value.
The multiple actors, and you're already, like 95th percentile with multiple actors.
Really, he does a really good job. So,
Well,
you know,
thank you.
I was trying to think of the one part that you were reading that I was like, if he's doing an audiobook, it has to be him reading this part because it's the expression that you give as you're reading it really puts the head into the right space, thinking, being able to picture exactly what was going on at that moment.
Right.
Yes, very good. Very good.
Well, thank you.
Well done. I can't wait to read it all.
I look forward to hearing. Yeah.
So I assume I can get a copy of the book cover for when we publish this tomorrow.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Excellent.
I can send that over to you immediately, in fact.
Cool. Yes. And provide me with links and all kinds of shameless promotional material that I will disseminate.
Yeah, of course. I'm getting that ready.
And then we can, talk on our next show about what his little bit of reading that he did caused us to do afterwards.
That's a double plug. That's excellent.
Now, if only, we could take his reading with us to the room and.
Well, we do have it recorded now, so.
Yeah, exactly. You have it. It's yours.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get fucked with Cooper in the background, I mean, I feel it odd
wouldn't
that you
be the
chose
first
a time
time
when he's not here in person, but whatever works for you, baby.
Always good to have him close by.
Oh no! That was fun to read. I haven't read that one out loud yet.
That was good. It was great. It was really, really great. I
feel like it stands alone more than most chapters in the book do.
Well, I'm glad we got the golden shower chapter.
Yes, and I thought your audience might appreciate it.
Yes, I speculate out of all the interviews you're probably doing, that probably landed the best with our audience.
Very true. Very true. Some people just come crossing through my head as we say that.
Pack of filthy fuckers. I love them all.
Oh, it's great.
And he didn't even have to think about it twice. He knew exactly what to read.
Well, it was. I was going to send that one out to my mailing list, and then I thought maybe not. And instead, I sent out the chapter after it. So I had that one on my mind as this stands alone. I could do something with this.
Yes, and it worked out very well.
And it doesn't have nearly as much emotional drama interrupting the sex as a lot of the chapters. So there's that.
Well, and that's, the emotional drama kind of has to carry through with the entire storyline. So that's tough to register in an excerpt anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Emotional? Never.
Well, it's all backstory and build up with the emotional stuff.
Yeah, what happened in the last chapter? Well, I can't tell you about it. I really hate it when people go to read a chapter and they're like, okay, now, so what you need to know so far is this is happening and this is happening and this is happening. It's one of the reasons I front-loaded the book with sex scenes. So I could choose any of the first 4 chapters and you don't need anything else.
Nice.
Beyond it, yeah.
I like that idea.
Well done. Well played.
So, do you have any patter or shameless promotion or anything you would like to say
I can do the
to our
spiel.
captive audience?
Yes, I do. So I'm an independent publisher, so I really appreciate it when people buy my books from me at coopersbeckett.com. That said, I really appreciate when people buy my books at all. And you can find my stuff at Amazon and at Barnes & Noble and all of the major places you may want to buy books. And yeah, the Approaching the Swingularity is out now as an ebook and paperback, and someday as an audiobook, but I won't go anywhere near promising that one. My first 2 books, My Life on the Swingset, Adventures in Swinging and Polyamory, and The Life Less Monogamous, are all available as ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Yay. And you can listen to my podcast, Life on the Swingset, at lifeontheswingset.com.
I do that. I listen.
Yeah? You a fan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you podcast with a bunch of pervs, buddy. I have it on good authority.
I podcast with the pervy best, man.
I couldn't help but during the jellyfish episode think of Dylan.
Oh, yes.
Remember
yes.
when he got...
I do.
I do.
What I was thinking of, the first thing I thought of was Renee looking on in horror.
Yeah.
Somebody was getting pissed on his beach.
And you know what? I'm sure it has happened many times.
Oh, I'm sure.
With the at least 2 to 3 times a week jellyfish stings there, somebody is bound to get peed on because nobody knows any better, really.
All right, well, that should probably bring this episode to a close. As a quick reminder for the listeners, we are rebuilding the audience and busting our way back into the top 10 on iTunes in the sexuality category, where we resided for a very long time until we went on hiatus. And if you could be bothered to take the time, we would very much appreciate some ratings and reviews. One of the big components to one of the big components to the iTunes algorithm is not just the number of reviews you've gotten, but how recent they are. So if you could take the time, we would very much appreciate it. I can be reached at jvauthorus@gmail.com. Shara can be reached at... Say it yourself. Shara can be reached at jvshara@gmail.com, the girl who's suddenly afraid of the microphone.
I'm not afraid of the microphone. I just like to listen to you say it.
And you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and all kinds of other places. But please direct any insults and tirades directly to me, because I kind of like them. So that's it for episode 87. Thank you very much, Cooper, for joining us. We're glad
My
you decided
pleasure.
to make a stop here.
My pleasure.
Yes, it was really great. And I have a little bit of wetness going on because of what he read today. So,
Woohoo!
I mean, I know I'm always wet, but extra wetness.
And remember, everybody, we are only 58% full for the November takeover of
Which is
Desire
more-
Resort, which is the resort that inspired the book
Yes.
you've been hearing
Yes.
about this evening.
You can read about it and then go to a place that is very similar.
Yes, come party with us.
But remember, it's more full at this point in time than it was last year. At this
it's filling
time.
up fast.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
It's filling very fast.
take
And every year we have to turn people away.
yes.
Yep.
So it happens. It's not a sales tactic. It's just a fact of life.
Yes. So if you're thinking, I don't know if we can afford it, you can afford it because everything's paid for once you buy the flight and pay for the room. Everything else is all said and done. So
Indeed.
come and have some fun with us.
Yes, so if you're interested in more about the trip and you don't want to wait for our next episode after this when we will have the new spot prepared, feel free to go to chartravel.com. That's CHAR travel.com and check out the Life on the Swingset takeover.
Yes.
And I think that pretty much wraps us up. So,
Do you know, one thing I think they should do?
what's that?
I think that they should take a picture of Coop in his rainbow socks and his nice ass and put that as part of the cover on Char Travel.
Isn't
just saying.
there already a photo? Of
Nobody
Cooper
wants
from
to
that
see that.
I do.
There are plenty of photos. I just don't let them out to play. No, that's not true. I let them out to play with some people.
Well, I feel very privileged to have had that standing right in front of my face. That's all I'm going to say. So, sorry.
And with that image, we bid
Yes,
you good night.
leave them with that.
This is JV and Shara and Cooper reminding you
Yes.
that sex is one of the greatest things in life and there is always room for better.
Always.
Good stuff.